Hello and welcome to the Ravens, a One Tree Hill podcast. I'm Simon and I love One Tree Hill.
And I'm Dom, and I've seen 185 episodes of One Tree Hill.
And tonight, there's no episode to debate because we are honored to be joined by a One Tree Hill legend, an icon of the show. In real life, he is an actor, writer, and director with amazing movie and TV credits such as The Walking Dead, Glory Road, The Day After Tomorrow, Bates Motel, Ray Donovan, The Six Triple Eight, and plenty more, including what could now be considered a cult classic show, One Tree Hill. Within the confines of One Tree Hill, he played our charming movie producer turned movie director. You could say that his relationship with his dad treads a thin red line. He's Brooke's husband and baby daddy, a mummy's boy who struggles with a high five and organized sports, a hero who saved Nathan's life, saved Alex's life, saved Brooke's life, a character that is supportive, caring, kind, and created one half of the sacred Brulian relationship, playing Julian Baker in 71 episodes of One Tree Hill. It's Austin Nichols. Austin, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the Ravens podcast.
Oh my God, thank you. That was one that may be the greatest intro I've ever had. Thank you. I don't deserve it, but I appreciate it.
You certainly do deserve it,
Definitely
sir.
do.
It's so great to see you. Thank you were so kind to us in Paris. So I'd like to just start by saying thank you so much because I know we know how busy those weekends are. And you've just done another one in Wilmington. How have those experiences been, and how is it that like the convention culture in some ways is quite new, and like I mean Comic Cons have been going for a long time, but in this kind of focusing on one singular show, like how do you find the conventions? They must be brilliant but also exhausting.
They are both, absolutely. And my first taste was with The Walking Dead, and those conventions were more like a Comic-Con where they would take, an entire convention center and there'd be merch booths everywhere and people from all different shows and movies. And it was like going to a Comic Con. It was those are massive and those are great. But when these smaller ones started popping up, like the ones we do for One Tree Hill, they actually became more focused, smaller, and a little bit easier. I don't know why. It just seems not as overwhelming, maybe because you're not, sitting at a table in a giant building. Like there's the intimacy and the sort of interaction with the fans is different. It just seems, I don't know, it just somehow seems kinder and a little sweeter. So, they're all great. But like the one we just did in Paris and the one we just did in Wilmington are wonderful, I think, because they're more specific and they're really it's about one show. And yeah, the last few weeks have been great. The amount of love that's been just thrown at us is overwhelming.
Much less blood and gore at the One Tree Hill conventions.
Yeah, my experience at the one I didn't play the most beloved character on The Walking Dead, so my experience at those is a little different.
That's true.
We did notice that you were enjoying a lot of coffee in Paris. Like, is that just gearing? You normally drink that much coffee, or was that like a particular let me get through this?
Well, flying to Paris, there's the jet lag factor too that makes it you're a little just naturally a little more tired. Long flights, and then the first 2 or 3 nights you don't sleep, all the way through the night. Sometimes you kind of wake up and you're awake. So yeah, I think I needed. Generally, I have maybe a cup or two in the morning. I think in Paris, I probably added about 3 espresso shots throughout the day. It really helped.
Well, I we've got loads of obviously One Tree Hill related questions with our One Tree Hill podcast, but I kind of wanted to ask you some other things, like of some of your career before that, because your acting credits are like your filmography is amazing and so varied, and you had a lot of like success in movies like quite early on in your career. Like The Day After Tomorrow, for example, made over $500 million at the worldwide box office. I mean, I was one of those people that saw that in the cinema when it came out, and it's like a big sort of disaster movie, etc. And you had the Glory Road, great movie, like loads of other films too. And so back in those in the earlier days, or I don't know, whenever in One Tree Hill days, there was and from actors we've spoken to, there was a bit of like a stigma of the difference between like movie actors and TV actors, and there could
Oh,
maybe be a bit of like snobbery, quote unquote, between one to the other.
yeah.
So for you that had had like this real success in movies, did you or like your representatives or agents or whoever have any fears of you going into television, or were you know, just happy for that opportunity and good with the breadth of work?
No, you're absolutely right. I was, sort of starting to get some great things like you'd mentioned, and it was still that time where movies were movies and TV was sort of frowned upon. So I was sort of reared in the thoughts that, if you want to be a movie actor, you got to stay away from TV. And I started getting these big movies. So that was my teaching, and my default setting was I want to make movies. Like I've always been a lover of movies. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I'd finished doing Glory Road and I was up for a show called Quarter Life. And it was down to me and Chris Pine.
Wow.
And it was Marshall Herskovitz and Ed Zwick doing this show. Amazing movie makers, great television people as well. And I remember calling the directors of the movies that I'd done and asked them if they thought it was a bad idea to do a TV show. And like now that sounds so stupid. But I remember doing that. I remember being worried and calling my agents and um, asking everyone I knew and everyone that I admired or whose careers I admired. And honestly, it had started changing so quickly and so much that the message was no, it's not a problem. It's not like it used to be. And now the studios are asking for people with TV credits and with TV audiences. So it was right at the time when it all started to shift. And I ended up doing that pilot and it didn't get picked up. But that was the sort of when it started to change and I started to really look at TV and look for TV opportunities.
As an actor and a director, are there differences in preparation for TV work and film work? Like, are you going like heading into this with the same methods, or is it completely
Yeah,
different?
absolutely. I mean, I would say the obvious thing that jumps out is pace and time. And, when you're making a movie, you can let things breathe. Things can be um, wider. You can stay on something that's really wide for a much longer period of time. If you think you're gonna, be in movie theaters, that stuff is so different. In TV, generally, if you see a wide shot, you're gonna be into coverage very, very quickly, and you're gonna be on faces pretty quickly. And it's changed a little as cable and streaming came, but that was always what TV was. TV was about, getting in there right away and being on a face. And I also think you can have more in film, you can have more fun and creativity with music. Um, but as far as prepping, prep is feels the same. It's just kind of like the style can be different. And when you are prepping, I think you spend a lot more time thinking about style when you're making a film versus television. Because in television, the sort of style and the tone's already been set up, and you just need to go do what they've already set up.
Nice, very cool.
Great answer. Just on the back of that, and I say this because I can see myself in the Zoom, and sometimes I'm like, God, I wish I couldn't. You have a great looking face. Congratulations. I mean, but also you've got the talent, okay, to go with it. So double congratulations. But when you just said things like that, like they put put your camera right in the face on your face for like One Tree Hill or TV and whatever. Do you ever feel a little bit like, could you not, like a little bit self-conscious of like, wow, that's really close? Or do you just kind of like, hey, this is par for the course. This is part of what you've got to do.
Well, no, and you know why I say that is because I learned really young that I'm better in a close up than in a wide shot.
Oh,
And I don't know why that is. I think, or maybe it's something that I made up in my mind, but I think I'm really boring in wide shots and I have to do more, which is kind of maybe bullshit. But if you think of it like a stage play versus a movie, when you're on stage, you want the people at the back of the audience to be able to see what you're doing and hear you. So there are moments we've all seen plays where, you know, you have to be louder, you have to be bigger, you have to use your whole body. And I've always felt that I'm just rubbish in wide shots. And then when the camera comes in closer, I'm immediately more comfortable doing less. And I'm more confident because I know that they're going to see it. I'm insecure that no one's going to see it in big, big wide shots.
So if anything, you're like, bring that camera closer. I love
Zoom
that.
in. Do
But
you do
also,
you
like, there's probably directors right there out there who are going, "Shut up! It doesn't matter." Like I'm the director. I'll tell you. I'm using that wide shot for a reason. Don't worry about that. Let me worry about that. That's something I probably shouldn't care about.
well,
Mm.
that's funny because that's I was going to ask about your directing style with that. Is that something you recognize in other actors now and go, actually, let me help you with that, and actually maybe we can move the camera in, or is it, are you more of the shut up and get on with it type?
No, I totally think I am. I think, and every actor's different, and every scene is different, and every location is different. So it really comes down to the one shot that you're doing in that moment, and you have to watch it. You watch them in rehearsal. You have to watch the monitor, and you have to look at it and say, what is best for this frame, and really, really be specific. Because I think you can take liberties and you can have an actor do something different in a wide that you would do in a close up because if you can actually if you know what you're going to cut, if you're cutting in your head and you know what you're going to do, it's okay to play like that and have fun and do something different. You don't have to do it exactly the same in each size. Um, and there's great freedom in that. And but yeah, I think it's just about each scenario. Everything's different.
We're talking a lot about filmmaking in general. When you were like a kid or when you fell in love with the art of storytelling, was there particular filmmakers that lit that fuse, so to speak? Like, was it the Spielbergs or the Scorseses, the Tarantinos? Like, who was the person for you, if there was one?
Well, it was in phases. When as a kid I watched a ton of cartoons and then I watched a lot of half-hour TV when I was, in junior high and even into high school. But I remember there was a few movies that I would watch over and over and over again on VHS tapes, and one was The Princess Bride. And I
Mhm.
had watched The Princess Bride so much that I memorized every line of that movie. And then I would stand up and say them in front of my family until they would get so frustrated and make me leave the room or turn the movie off. And there's something about that movie that just, you know, I there's never been a movie before or after The Princess Bride that did what The Princess Bride. To me, that's like one of the most special movies ever made. And that, when I was young, was one of the first, when I started repeating the lines back, was one of the first times that I really started to lean into movies. I didn't understand that I wanted to do it yet. It wasn't until Dazed and Confused came out that I saw my city on a movie screen at locations like schools and baseball fields and places that I knew and went to, that I realized making movies was possible. So Richard Linklater and Dazed and Confused was the the time where I went, okay, this is something I want to pursue.
Great answer. Great answer. And we always ask people this. Again, this is a bit more abstract than One Tree Hill questions, but what are comfort shows for you? Like One Tree Hill is a comfort show for so many people. Like people put it on to go to sleep to. We have someone, one of our listeners, and this is real life, has said that they've seen One Tree Hill all 9 seasons the whole way through 40 times. That may be a record. But do you have a show that's like that for you? You can just have on in the background or put on if you're not feeling too good, bad mood, that kind of thing.
Baywatch.
Okay.
Easy, easy
I mean,
answer.
I kid, but I actually do sometimes just have it on in the mornings for some reason because we everybody so many people cut the cord and went to streamers and kind of stopped getting traditional cable. But now I have I don't know if it's Tubi or Pluto or what it's on, but there is live TV that I have in my house now. And sometimes I have dogs, and sometimes when I leave, I'll just put stuff on the TV for the dogs when I'm gone. And a lot of times it's Baywatch. The other stuff I love when I actually want to pay a little bit more attention. For a long time, it was The Office,
Mhm.
and it just made me feel so happy, and it was such a good thing to go to bed. The last thing laughing before bed, I think is like the greatest thing you can do, and not watch something depressing or frightening. Um, but it's always been comedies. It's been Seinfeld and Friends and The Office.
Great one. I
Awesome.
introduced Dom to The Office like a few years ago, and how many times have you watched it since then, Dom?
I think 9 all the way through.
Oh, incredible. When I was doing Wimbledon in London, I was introduced to the original Office with Ricky Gervais, and I fell in love with that one. And I thought it was so brilliant. And I never I was as I got into my 20s, I didn't like half hour comedy anymore. I kind of like I don't want to watch that. I want to watch dramas, and I was kind of snobby about it. But it was the British Office that changed my mind, and I was so just blown away by it that I would not watch The American Office for years and years and years. And I boycotted it. And I just said, no, no, no. I'm not into the remake thing, like an Americanizing it. I'm just not into this. And then finally, I think it was after it had been not canceled, but after it had finished its run. I didn't watch it until after it had finished its run, and then I fell in love with it.
It was pretty much exactly the same for me. Like I wouldn't watch it because of the same things. Like, oh, we're taking something that's kind of held a little bit sacred over here, and
Yeah.
we've made another version of it. And Simon was like, no, no, do it. So I
Yeah.
did, and then I can't now I can't stop.
It's great. It's
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm so glad you mentioned Wimbledon. So my wife, Effany, there's your shout out, Effany, is is that she just said earlier, I said that we were doing this tonight. I mean, she knew I've been talking about this for weeks. But that she loves your performance in that movie. What was it like working with Paul Bettany? I mean, he's a legend around the world, but obviously particularly here as well.
He's such a lovely human being, and I was so young and kind of like was getting these bigger movies, and I didn't really appreciate it in the moment that like I do now. And to work with someone like Paul at such a young age was such an amazing opportunity to see how not only how dedicated he is to his performance and character, but how well he treats everyone around him, the entire crew and his directors. And just somebody I wanted from that moment on. I carried those lessons forward, and it's like I want to be like Paul, and I want to work like Paul. And he's such a gem, and we still talk every once in a while. And I just love him to death. He that one of the things I take away from that movie was the sort of getting to learn a skill and getting to train to play tennis for months because it's rare that one of those happens and somebody says, "Okay, we're doing this thing," and you have months to get ready. It's so often that you start something quickly and you don't have time, or they need an expert that already knows how to do it. And I felt like I was I don't know. I think I had 3 or 4 months to train playing tennis, and I wouldn't say my performance in the movie is very good, or even like my character's that interesting. But I'm very proud of the tennis I played in that movie.
Well, she liked it. I actually haven't seen it, so I'm adding it. I'll add it to the list.
It's a
Um,
it's a good little romantic comedy. I enjoy it.
yeah, we would call that it's like a blockbuster special. Like it would have done well in the blockbuster stores, like really, like a perfect rental for a Friday night.
Oh yeah.
Uh, right, we have One Tree Hill questions, and we have listeners have written in and asked some questions. So okay, with Alicia from London has asked, but we know that there is a certain narrative amongst the fandom that Julian sort of came in as the suave, charming guy, and then was kind of made a little bit more like, I don't know, like had sort of, I don't know, quote unquote goofier moments as you went through. I'm sure you've heard all of this before.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
No,
he,
like he was definitely, made. I'm just gonna probably use dirty words, so I'm gonna try not to. But he was sort of like demasculinized, or he was like feminized in a way. And that, I'll be perfectly honest, I wrote a letter to the creator at one point because I was really hungry and ambitious. And I think maybe I wanted more, or I wanted Julian to have something different or more. I can't even remember. Totally respectful letter. But not everybody wants to get that letter from an actor. And I think that was the sort of beginning of Julian changing, and it was a bit of like, stay in your own lane, or I don't know. And I dove into those things and I embraced them as much as I could, but they definitely felt, and I think the fans all feel it. There was the time where that happened to Julian, and it hopefully it was still, loving, and hopefully there's some humanity there and blah blah blah, and it just didn't feel like weird. But yeah, I definitely struggled with it.
that's really interesting and really sad that asking for maybe a bit more dramatic things or whatever would lead into, I mean, that's super toxic. Like we can just call that what that is. But when you say wrote a letter, do you mean like you actually wrote like pen to paper letter?
It might have been an email. I can't remember. I do usually write on paper, but it might have been an email because the writers were all in LA and we were in North Carolina.
Mm. There's something about that. It's like writing it like pen to paper just feels like even more sort of, I don't know, there's something like magical about that. But that's super sad. And then we've been doing this podcast for 5 years and we've heard plenty of things, sad things like that, and obviously much worse.
Yeah.
And that just sucks because what you are asking would also hopefully would have been something that would have enhanced the show as
Oh
well,
yeah,
right?
that was that, my heart's always in that place. It's like I want to make something great. And, you know, looking back, I had, becoming a central character on a show that had already been on for 5 seasons. I mean, I got a great opportunity, and I was never ungrateful. It was just, I think I was young and hungry, and I was like, is there something more is there something more on the bone that we could gnaw on that we haven't found yet? And yeah, it felt weird that I got sort of, slapped on the wrist for it.
One thing I will say though, I mean, yeah, that all sucks, but we love Julian all of the way through, and I think that's not just us, like the fandom in general, like the different phases, and if anything, there are parts where when he is a bit softer in the later seasons, where in a lot of ways he's also relatable because, like Dom and I have said this on our podcast, and we love James and we love everyone, but not everyone can be dunking basketballs and, they can't all be Nathan Scott. And so
Right.
it's nice to be like, well, but I probably could mess up a high five. I'm still not a movie producer, like charming guy, because Julian, like everyone else, is super talented. But at least maybe, okay, there's a more sensitive character that people can sort of relate to. So I think it's still a lot of
Yeah.
merit in that.
And also, I will say this, I play for many, many years, I played a lot of bad guys. I played a lot of villains. And, for whatever reason, people that make decisions, they see us, they see actors, they see our tapes, they see our work, and they feel like we belong in certain places for a reason. And, there may have been a need or a want to um, maybe make Julian feel, because when Julian showed up, he was dangerous, right? He was a threat. And over as the years and the seasons went by, maybe there was a need to take that away. You're never quite sure, what the writers are doing or why. It's our job to, just take those words and interpret them, and make them turn them into real life. But it's one of those things I often look back and think about and wonder, like, what was really going on?
Is there a side of Julian that you prefer to play over the other? Like, or did you find that the kind of
I
natural
like
progression of the
I
character with the
like
writing?
I
Sorry.
like Dangerous Julian because at the end of the day, he was the right guy for Brooke, and he's going to take care of her and love her and do anything to make sure she's safe and happy. So I think it's okay for a character to be a little dangerous and a little unpredictable if, as long as he's not hurting people and breaking the law and doing all the like I think those two things can coexist.
Mm.
Or would you have preferred to have played a villain?
Oh, wow. I mean, no, because it was a really special thing to be for Brooke to find her guy, and it was actually me and the guy I played. That was really cool. Brooke struggled to find her person, and it was an honor to be that person.
Awesome.
And I mean, there's the great line of, I came for the girl in the book, but it was the other girl. I butchered that line, but it was that's like such a great moment, great sentiments. Your Julian's when he comes in and see it is his season 5, right? Yeah, season 5. Yes.
Season six.
Of
Season
course,
six.
season
Yeah.
6. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I said season 6. Yes. The the rival not rivalry but the tension with Lucas is great because Lucas has had tension with other characters over the years, but like you said, they've mainly been more straight up antagonistic, like Dan, obviously like layered and humanized, but it was great that Julian is like slightly antagonistic but also like still a good guy, is still out there looking for Sam and doing those other parts. So that it's he's well textured. So I agree. It's like we could have done with a bit more of that maybe because it stirs the pot.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, and that's the kind of thing that just makes drama interesting. It's like people are gray, shades of gray. They're not black and white, and people are complicated, and people contradict themselves all the time.
I think I quite often describe myself as an outsider looking in with One Tree Hill as someone who's only just, doing this podcast for Simon. It's the only time I've ever watched it. So that's why I'm still haven't seen all of it yet, haven't completed
Oh,
it.
great. Yeah.
So as part of that, I look at Julian and I see this guy and I want this guy to win. So even with those kind of tense moments with Lucas or whoever it might be, Julian is always the one I want to come out on top and to be the hero. And I think a lot of that is down to your performance and portrayal of the character, which is amazing.
Oh, that's great. I thank you. I've never heard anyone say anything like that. That's really cool to hear.
You're
But
very welcome.
Alicia had another question, but you've answered it. But I asked her to write more because they were very good. She said, okay, she's put, as cute as some might find it, did you find it was weird that Jamie was Julian's best man?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I think that's part of that whole thing was, like Julian's not a guy's guy. Julian doesn't have friends. It was odd. It was odd. And like, look, if it was funny and fun and people loved it, then I don't care. I
Mm.
mean, like, if something's working, great. That's what I always say. Like, if this works and it fulfills a need for this world, for this show, great. But yeah, when I was an actor getting the scripts and going, I did think it was odd. Yes.
And did you have like a favorite memorable line or scene in the show? Like if you was to pick one and be like, that was my highlight moment.
The thing I always say is that the episode where the car goes over the bridge and
Mm.
Julian pulls Jamie and pulls Brooke out, and we think Brooke has died. I mean, I very rarely got to do action on the show, and that was a big episode. And it was, I love doing underwater stuff, stunts, um, just the intensity of having rain and all that stuff is so fun for me. But I will say that in a more sort of One Tree Hill zone. I loved the moment where Brooke was mad at Julian and he goes to her with a list of the qualities of the Brooke he's trying to cast, and he reads off
Mm.
all the qualities that Brooke is. That scene still gives me the chills even today. I just love that scene.
Yeah, that is a great scene. And like you said, we love it because Brooke has had so much That's just called it what it is, just like trash men, right? In the earlier seasons. And then it's like, so we're all rooting for you.
Mostly Lucas.
Yeah. That was good, Dom. Well done.
You're
Okay, joining a successful long running show, be it One Tree Hill or Walking Dead. Do you like to go back to the beginning and watch the episodes up, leading up to it, or do you just go into it with like fresh eyes?
On One Tree Hill, I did not watch anything because I think I got there quickly. I was doing a guest star in season 6. I was doing 10 episodes, and I thought it was going to be over.
Mm,
So I was like, I'm coming in. I got on a plane. I went there. I was like, this is going to be over, and I don't want to sit down and watch 5.5 seasons of a show with 22 episodes. It would have taken forever, and so I didn't. But like with The Walking Dead, I watched every episode. I think I had a little more time. Also, on The Walking Dead, there were so many characters. I didn't work that much at first, and I was in a hotel room in Atlanta, and I just was binging the show and really enjoying it because I had time. I would say it just depends. There's been times where I haven't and times where I haven't. Sometimes it's good, depending on who your character is in this story. Sometimes it's good to go in blind and not know everything. But if your character is someone who, has a lot of knowledge about the world and these characters, then I think I'd want to know.
mm. Interesting. When we had Paul Johansson on, he said that he purposely, even when the scripts of the episode, he would only read his scenes because he didn't think Dan should have knowledge of other people. He should only have the knowledge that he should have. And that was really
Yeah,
interesting. It's the first time I'd heard that, but it makes total sense.
I totally agree. I mean, most of the time when you're a guest coming into an existing show, your character doesn't know everyone
Mm,
and doesn't know what's going on. So I'm a fan of, yeah, kind of like being true to that and like kind of going in a little unsure of like who are these people? What is this world? It kind of gives it some realism.
love that.
awesome.
Um, Charlie asks, if you could have played any other character besides Julian, who would it have been?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I really love Chris Keller.
Yes.
And I love, you know, and the way that, because he started as a baddie, right? But now like everyone just is so in love with Chris Keller. And to see this sort of see that change and a lot of it's just because Tyler's hilarious and so
Hmm.
lovable, right? Um, but I like stuff like that. I love skills. Um, those two guys always jump out at me.
Great answer.
I'm
Or
gonna.
Nanny Carey. Can I play Nanny Carey?
Oh,
Yeah, of
absolutely.
course.
Yeah,
Of
he'd be
course.
excellent as Nanny Carey.
You do have to take
I
a bottle to the face at some point, but yes.
I get shot as
Yeah.
well. I want to do a crossover question, which
Okay.
you probably had 100 times as well. But uh, would Julian out survive Spencer? And let's say you say yes to that, or well, either answer, yes or no. Who from One Tree Hill would you want as your like
Mm,
in The Walking Dead with you, and this separate character?
Oh,
great
oh
question.
wow. Okay. So, what's funny is when you guys introduced me, you mentioned that Julian saved 3 lives.
Mm.
I've never even thought of that. Would you say Sophia, Jana, and
Uh, who did I say? Hang
Brooke,
on.
Alex, and Jamie?
Jamie.
Oh, wait, that's more that I said. Hang on. Alex, Nathan, and Brooke.
Oh,
You saved
Nathan, because he
Nathan
was
in
kidnapped.
season 9. Yeah. Did you?
That's
It's
right. So
technically 4 then, if it's
I've
Jamie too.
never even thought about Julian as someone who was heroic. And I was so like sort of thrilled to hear that. And Julian, I guess, even though he was not a guy's guy and like, wasn't super sporty like Nathan or whatever, like I do think Julian had, something to offer in that realm because he did save some lives. So Julian, I think, would do better than Spencer in the zombie apocalypse. I think anybody would probably do better than Spencer. I had high hopes for Spencer that he was going to turn a corner. And, at one point they gave me this shovel and I had this shovel strapped to my back. There's a piece of rope and it was strapped to my back. And everybody started to go, "Ooh, that's a good sign. They're giving you your weapon." I got all excited. I was like, okay, Julian's not going to be such an idiot anymore. But he stayed a total idiot and nothing great ever happened. So I got to go with Julian on that one. And what was the second part of the question? Who would I
Which
pick
which one of the other characters would you want in a zombie apocalypse?
Oh man, my
So
gut
like,
just immediately goes to Nathan.
ah, interesting.
But now that I'm thinking about it more, I think Dan Scott might be like maybe one of the because he's so manipulative and smart and dark that he might. Well, but do you really want to be strapped to that? That's a tough question because it's like about survival, right? And who do you want to have around you so you can survive? That's hard. That's hard.
If you
Uh,
take Dan, he'll just make you say, "I'm Dan" the whole time, you know.
I'm gonna go with
Ne
Nathan because Nathan's so strong. He's an athlete, but he's also honorable, and I think he would walk that line. He'd be a great leader.
Good choice.
Negan interacting with Dan Scott would be wonderful. I mean on that, um, what was that like going from obviously you know worked with Hillary and then working with her husband? I mean, yeah, was what was that like?
Well, I mean, I we were living near each other, and I remember one of the first days I'd started shooting with Jeffrey a little bit, and I remember I saw Hillary in the neighborhood, and we had kind of like been texting, like, "Hey, I know you're here. I know you're here. Let's hang." And then when I saw each other, and I think we had lunch or something. It was so great, but it was so cool because it'd been a while since the show, and um, it's one of those lovely little things that happens, I think, but probably happens in any realm where somebody from the past comes back around, and I got to work with both of them. I mean, what a treat. But Jeffrey is maybe one of the most fun people you could ever want to work with. Just just everybody's favorite guy on set. Um, having a laugh with everyone, super easygoing. There's not a lot of pressure or fear. And then as soon as the camera is rolling, he is 100% going. He's a hood ornament on a freight train, and he's looking for truth. And there's no better way to do it.
Love
It's
that.
it's lovely to hear you say that because Hillary said the same thing, and she's a bit biased, so we weren't sure. But it's great to hear that from a neutral
Oh,
source.
he's the best.
We've we've got a couple questions about I know what you did last summer, and obviously we have to try and keep that spoiler free. But Kat asked, who is from Australia, said, "What was the best part about filming in Australia for I know what you did last summer?"
Well, it's a place I've wanted to go since I was 8 years old, and I never went. And this happened, and the phone rang, and they said this, and I just started screaming. I mean, it was like it's a lifelong dream to go there. And I would say two of my favorite things. One was the coffee, because Aussies are real coffee nerds. And then two was the ocean and the beaches and these coastal walks that they have that go from Bondi south and north. And I know they have them all over, but these these coastal walks that are open to everyone to walk along the beaches and the coastline and see the ocean. It's just magical. And the saltwater swimming pools that, the waves come over into the swimming pools right there
Mm,
on the coast, just one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I could be very, very happy living in Australia.
awesome, love that. Uh, another I know what you did last summer question from Chuck, but I mean. He said avoid spoilers, but I feel like it's spoilery in in the
The
question. So
question, yeah.
I'm gonna reword it
Yeah.
uh, and just say what was what was the experience like playing your character? Oh, just
Yeah.
I
No, I
don't know.
mean I know what he probably was saying, and yeah, for those that haven't seen it yet, we won't give anything away.
Hmm.
Honestly, what I'll say is I didn't entirely know what I was going down there to do. Sometimes with movies like this, you don't always get all the answers. And sometimes movies will shoot multiple endings or multiple scenes, or they'll do something differently, and they don't even always tell everybody that.
Mm.
So, I mean, there was some things down there, like I saw a certain actor and I went, wait, why are they here? That's all I'll say. So you'll see when you watch the movie, but there was definitely some secrecy going on in the best way because you're rebooting a movie like that, reimagining a movie like that, and uh, you know, there's a lot of eyeballs on it, and a lot of people going, well, how are they going to do it, and what's gonna happen here, and it's really hard to keep it all a secret. So they have to get creative about how to do that, but. Um, I was overall just really excited to be a part of it. And no matter what happened with my character, I was along for the ride. I was really excited to get the call.
Great answer. Victoria asks, what was your favorite and least favorite storyline in One Tree Hill?
On One Tree Hill, my favorite and least favorite. My least favorite was locking the kids in the car.
Hmm.
That's rough.
Um, And I know why it's a drama, it's a TV show and things have to happen. Um, but they did a good job of showing why because Julian had six things to do and all that. But it's hard when you're an organized person, it's hard to imagine doing that. And so I really had to let go of myself and just, you know, dive into this. So that was hard. What did come out of it that I loved was picking a bar fight and getting punched in the face and just laughing as that guy was just wailing on my face. That was a lot of fun. Julian punishing himself was fun. Um, some of it. And then my favorite storyline. Oh man. It's not a great answer, but I think it's, the love story with Brooke and Julian. And there's scenes in particular where the writing was just really good. And one thing they were so good at was the language of love. And these scenes where we remember dialogue and we remember something that one character said to another. And Nathan and Haley had it. Um, Lucas and Peyton had it, and Brooke and Julian had it. And I, those kinds of things don't come around all that often, where a show taps into something in the culture at the time and people really feel it. The other day somebody said, or I can't remember who said it. They said one of their favorite lines is when Haley said to Nathan that his favorite ice cream was mint chip. It turns out it wasn't. He just ordered it so that she could have some.
Mm.
And I butchered it, but it was like the most beautiful, sweetest, most amazing Nathan line ever, or Nathan act, which is I'm always going to order the ice cream that I know my wife wants. And the show was filled with stuff like that. And
That's
that I think that was its strongest suit.
That's so true. And yeah, that's actually just happened in where we're at in season 9. So
Hmm.
yeah, no, that's so true. Just to say, Victoria added, this is more of a statement, but hopefully it goes to the point we were making earlier. She said, I also love that the more dorky or goofy they made Julian, the more likable he became. He's my partner's favorite character of the whole show. So, I mean, they tried to do you a disservice maybe, but, that's what happened.
And and by the way, we kind of addressed that earlier, there might have been a need to soften him, and maybe it was all this brilliant plan, and hopefully we we did the best we could.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, okay, Ed asked, and this is great because we wanted to ask you obviously about your new movie. But it said that you seem to be drawn to directing now. Is that a natural progression for your career? Is that like what you were always hoping to do?
I never wanted it to, I never wanted to stop acting to become a director. I really love both. And it's like choosing between children, it's like you can't. Like they're just so different and they're so cool. But I always did want to direct. I didn't really say that out loud until much later because I didn't even know that I didn't even know it. But looking back, I always was interested in the director because I used to go to the video store and they had a director section and I used to get like every movie and I try to watch them chronologically to see like what was their first movie, what was their second movie, and how did they do this. So I was always interested in that path. And then finally, luckily, Montreal was the first place I ever got to direct. And I happened to be playing a producer who became a director. And, I often wonder if that wasn't, I know it was already in me and the writers, felt that as well. But I also wonder, did it also give me a push that was my character and that was my career on the show? Like, is that also, did that give me a little extra push? You know,
Mhm.
it's like, you know, what is the saying about is it art in life? What is it?
Art
Not
imitating life.
imitating life.
Yeah, like it's such a conundrum. Like I think there's a little bit of both of it in there for me.
Hmm. Oh, that's so cool. That's great. Like with the poster in the TV show of the Thin Red Line, it's the whole point of that for Julian is that it's that family connection, that connection with his dad, but that kind of inspiration into getting into the business. What poster is on Austin's wall, or would you have instead of the Thin Red Line, if that wasn't your choice?
Good question.
Um, oh man. I mean, I have two movies that really, really stand out. And the first one is Being There, directed by Hal Ashby with Peter Sellers. That is just, I think, just one of the most creative, powerful, interesting, weird movies ever made. I truly think Forrest Gump is just a remake of Being There.
Hmm.
Although I'm not saying anything, I love Forrest Gump. But Being There is at the top, and then Badlands, Terrence Malick's first movie, Badlands is right there. There's something about, a young couple falling in love and on the road and committing these crimes, and those two movies for some reason just always stand out and move me in some way that I don't know. I don't even know what it is, and I just love those two directors. Um, I would say it's got to be between those two.
Very cool.
Great answer. Now, this one, you don't have to say anything, okay? Because it's very important to us that we don't get you in any kind of trouble or anything. Um, but we've spoken to Sophia Bush, about this.
In case you
Just,
didn't know
just to
which one.
classify, it's not Sophia from down the road here. It's Sophia Bush, because it would be
I've heard of
nonsense
her.
talk. Yeah, exactly. Well,
I've heard of her.
you've
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know who she is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we said to her that if there's a reboot of One Tree Hill one day, and if they have the need for two background performers to be like stacking shelves, in the supermarket or doing something or being FedEx guys or whatever, that Dom and I would fly ourselves out to wherever they're filming and be there. And wouldn't that be a great Easter egg for the fans, the podcast, the whatever. Now, it's hard for us to imagine that Brooke could be in a reboot of One Tree Hill without Julian, unless they kill our boy off, which we would protest. But I feel like just in case Sophia lied to our faces, which surely she couldn't, I mean, that would be crazy. But you'd back us up, right? We should be background performers in new One Tree Hill if it exists.
Honestly, I think I could make it happen. I mean, look, there's a lot of people that could help, but I'm pretty sure I can make that happen because when I was directing Walker a few years ago here in Texas, I had a friend who was just dying to be an extra, and I had this prison. Actually, I wasn't even directing the episode; I was acting in it, and I was in jail, and I was having a scene with my son, played by Gavin Castellano, and we're at the jail, and I had my friend come be a background. He's tatted up, and I had him come be an extra behind me, and I think I even interacted with him with some flowers or something, and that somebody brought into the prison, and it's not that big of an ask, guys. I'm pretty sure we can make this happen.
Okay, let's because we'd be on a plane so quickly. Like I have kids. I have two kids under 5. I've already said to my wife, I'm leaving for a weekend if this happens. Like she's fine with it. She gets it. So that's the big ask, really. That's the hard one.
Yeah,
Is
right, right. No, I will not forget. I will not forget. Let's go for it.
Okay, that
Awesome.
would be great. That would be great. Well, uh, this is the time for us to just say thank you so, so much. I mean, we could keep going, but we also know you have a life and you're very busy. But I do just want you to know that sincerely, we're really big fans of you. Oh, wait. Can you tell us about your movie? Because
Oh yeah.
where can we watch it? Where can we
Yeah.
people support it? Sorry, my
Yeah.
bad.
We just have gone to a couple festivals. 2 weekends ago, we just did the Austin Film Festival, and it's been really lovely and well received. It's a movie. It's called The Long Shot. It's about a bunch of funny misfits who work at a rundown public golf course, and it looks like it's about to be taken over by the government or bought by a tech bro. And it looks like its days are numbered. And it's just about this quirky family trying to protect their home. And it's really loving and hopeful and funny. And it's the kind of movie we need right now. And it looks like we're coming out in April, May of 2026. And we don't yet have all the details, but I will share them with you and everybody as soon as we have them. But early next year. And I'm so excited for people to see it.
That's
Awesome.
great.
Can't wait.
Um, well, and so okay, so as soon as that comes out, we can support. Okay, and is there anywhere else where can people support you? Get like you're on Cameo, right? We know that, yes.
Yeah, yeah, Cameo and Instagram really. And I'm on everything. I'm not on TikTok, but I'm pretty much on everything.
That we don't understand TikTok, so you,
I mean, I don't understand it, but I know that, last weekend I did a TikTok with Tyler
mm,
and it blows all my posts out of the water. Like anything I do that has to do with One Tree Hill or with a TikTok with Tyler Hilton seems to perform very well.
yeah, that's great. We love him. We got to have him on the podcast in person. He played a show in London earlier in the year, and we got to like interview him backstage, which was very cool. And yeah, he had great things to say about everyone as well. We were so like it's devastating. So we got to do the Paris convention, which we loved. It's devastating seeing all of the posts on social media from the Wilmington one because it's like, why are we not there? But it looked wonderful.
It was great. It was great. It was a lot of fun. But there'll be more. There'll be more.
There will be more, and I think we're the one in Paris. There's another one happening in Paris next year that we're aware of. So, you know,
That's a much
yes.
quicker flight for you guys, or even a train, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, definitely. But yes, thank you so much for your time. Like we know you're super busy, and this really means a lot to us. And to me, I watched the show when I was younger, and it's really like an important show for me, as it is for so many people. So thank you for being part of something that's so meaningful on behalf of myself and everybody. You know, all of the fans and everything. And yeah, this has been so wonderful. So thank you for your time.
It means the world that you guys say that and care so much. So thanks for having me on. And I'm so sorry it took us this long to get together.
Not at all.
Not a problem. Yeah, it's been an absolute privilege getting the chance to speak to you and spend some time with you. And you've been very, very gracious with your time and amazing answers. So yeah, thank you very, very much.
So I'll keep my eye on some an Easter egg spot for you guys.